Welcome to an extra bit. What you're looking at is NES rental cases for clamshells for NES games that came from Scandinavia originally, or Sweden to be specific. And although it looks like VHS style cases, they're actually a bespoke design, unique to fit the actual NES games. We'll look at it in a second here, but you'd find these on shelves in places to rent video games, gas stations, video stores, stuff like that, or whatever it might be. And it's pretty prominent space on shelves. I mean, it demanded a lot of attention. I can't say exactly how the rental ones looked here in America, but in Sweden, this was a prominent site and a very common site in rental stores. And it's kind of used as a special design just for NES. It's got a little blurb on the back about the game. I'm not going to translate it all, but this is Tetris, obviously. I got these from, well, my parents had a rental place when I was younger, and when the games fell out of favor, or NES games were not interesting anymore, they basically fire selling them out. So I got a lot of these very, very cheap. And actually, the fact that it looks like a VHS case, I had a friend who thought like, oh cool, they made a movie about Tetris, I gotta rent that. Rented it, and then realized when he opened it and got home, oh, it's just an NES cartridge. Oh well. Not as cool for him back then, but I thought it was really cool because, again, you have a unique design. You can see the case is designed to hold specifically an NES cart. So it sits in there perfectly. And you have a little space here for the manual and everything too. Look, neat, perfect. Not all of them are complete. Many of these, just the manual got lost since these are old rentals, obviously. And yes, the games do still work, besides just having to clean them out. It's all NES cartridges after all. See, From Russia with Fun, European version. So these are obviously PAL, all of them. But we'll go through some of these games, take a look. Again, first off, we have Tetris here. We have kind of a smattering of different games from a wide range of the NES's lifespan. Some later ones, like Terminator 2 up here, and of course some older ones or earlier ones. This is, I'm trying to think of Terminator 2 or T2 was probably one of the later NES games. It's not a very good game, but it doesn't matter. It's a cool box. And they were trying to sell, of course, the entire thing. It gives you a great view to see what the game's about. Theoretically, you're trying to sell this for you. Let's open this guy up. And some of these, you could tell here, this one's also complete. Oh, LGN. That's a good maker of NES games. Some of these printed in like a quick start guide on the side here, and that's what you're looking at. Gives you a quick handy guide, especially if the full manual is missing. These manuals were translated for Scandinavia. In this case, most cases, they have different languages in here. Yeah, Cyberdyne Systems T1000 Terminator. Cool. Still a great movie, terrible game. That's fine. We'll take a look at another game. I said this is one of the later ones, so it's in pretty good shape. I can't say the same for all of them, but let's go with another classic, Double Dragon 2. Still, super hard game. Ooh, from 15 years. This is before any standardized like age ranges or ESRB markings or anything on the game. So in this case here, it says from 15 years. Realistic movement and superb graphics. This is Double Dragon 2. You've seen it. In this case here, the manual's missing, which was very common that when we got the rental cartridges back, or rental clamshells, they were missing the manual. People lose it, etc. But in this case here, it helped to have this one printed out. And it came from the distributor like that. It had the thing printed in from directly when it arrived at the place for rental. And these were all distributed then by Yapon, or YAPON, which is the kind of like a subsidiary of the Nintendo, I think, for Sweden. Wrecking Crew is a very early game. Love this one. If you haven't checked this one out, I highly recommend doing so. It's a kind of demolishing Mario game. You're breaking down blocks, and it's super fun. Doesn't seem like a lot of people have heard of it, but super fun. This is definitely one of the earlier ones. You can tell it uses kind of the black design, mirroring what the paper ones had, the original ones. In this case here, the manual is just a little pamphlet. I'm not sure if this is the original one or if this was added later. It sure looks like the original one. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, how to play the game, what the stuff does. All translated, but it's a neat little folding one. I don't remember that, but that's cool. Again, you can see the design mimics the earlier versions of the NES games for sure. Take a look at another one. We're going through the games faster now. I'll move this over to the side. Wizards Wizards and Warriors. From the adventurous Excalibur continues his exciting journey. Also a really cool game. I remember this one pushed the NES pretty far and looks really good for being an NES game. All right, same thing here. These may be just a later addendum or addition. These look printed out later after the fact. Probably when the original one got lost, I'm guessing. Photocopies. I think what started happening is since so many of these manuals were going missing and the rental company didn't want to replace them, I think, photocopies came into being instead and was used a lot to, replace them cheaper than sending out full printed manuals all the time. But I love the fact that the game sits so snugly in here and perfectly in here. It's just, clearly it's kind of made from a VHS design, but then with that special molding in there to hold the game in place. This game, has anyone ever successfully landed on the carrier in Top Gun? I don't think so, but supposedly people have, but I don't know. I never could do it as a kid. I thought it looked really cool. It was a cool game. I couldn't get anywhere very far in it. So, and here, oh, I guess we have another one of these. Same one here, photocopied manual. I'm guessing the original was missing at some point. And this would happen a lot. These little flips here break off when they came back from, being rented. And people didn't take very good care of stuff. Like anywhere else, when you rent stuff, people just don't seem to take very good care of it. It's unfortunate, but... Alright, let's look at extremely frustrating game. Someone who's played Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. You know the frustrations with this game. It's supposedly a, streamlined, nice Castlevania, but it's just incredibly obtuse solutions. Also, I appreciate them wanting to cram a lot in the back here, but look at this text. I'm not sure if you can even tell. That is tiny, tiny text. I mean, I can barely read this at this day and age. I'm too old for this now. But that is super tiny. I know they want to cram in a lot because it's a complicated game. And this is the instruction for Robo Warrior. Well, that doesn't go there. We'll take care of that right now. So it looks like, unless we find this in another cartridge here, I should say clamshell. I want to say cartridge. This is a cartridge. Excuse me. This is the clamshell or case. And in this case, we only have the printed one that's glued in here. This glue that is from, late 80s isn't holding up so well anymore. But we do have Robo Warrior here, which is also, I think, all bit of a... I don't see much coverage on this one, but I think it's a really fun game. This one I got a little further in, but it's got a fun little Bomberman-esque style to it. You got to blow up stuff to find power-ups. Yep, there we go. So we're missing... There's no insert here, but we do have the manual here. Again, I thought it was cool that they translated everything. And that was both a blessing and a curse thing for, young people in Sweden. They translated some games, like Shadowrun was like fully translated, text translated. And, okay, in this case here, we're missing those tabs. Game won't stay in place. Not so cool anymore. Oh well. Some of those games, when they were translated, it just sounded terrible. And or you read it and it didn't translate very well. So I kind of wish they wouldn't have. I liked learning English and everything. Looks like someone drew sad eyes here on Lolo. Lolo, or Lulu, however you want to pronounce it, is a really cool puzzle game. It's really fun. Also a little fun to see on the back here. This is before, they had access to really good capture software or tools. They probably took a picture of the TV playing this game, and that's just how we got the screenshot, right? So... you gotta do what you gotta do. On the back here, it looks fine. In this case, we have both here. We have both the cartridge, we got the manual, and we got this here. And I can actually take, of course, these are just inserted like any VHS style thing, and it's actually a pretty high quality print. Pretty nice quality. I mean, I thought that these were cool to look at when you're trying to select which game to rent for the weekend or whatever. It's a lot easier to kind of get an idea what you're going to get with this big case. Of course, easier to keep track of as well. If I can get it back in here. Come on. This is what happens when you go live. That's the kind of content you get from Extra Bit videos. The content you crave. Me messing up. There we go. Got it back in. Lulu. It's a good game. Rygar with cool concept. I know some people really like this game. The music may be the single most annoying NES music I ever heard. My goodness. Yeah, there's not so much text here. It can fit a lot more when you don't have the text like tiny, or not fit more, but make it more appealing. In this case, we're missing everything. We just have the clamshell case and then the cartridge. So the plus side is that the cartridges, of course, are very well protected in here. These do work, as I said. They just probably have to be cleaned up. I haven't cleaned or used these in a while since they got my PAL NES, but they do work just fine. Last time I checked, they just probably have the typical, build up on the contacts and everything like all NES cartridges from the era gets. Gunsmoke, play this one a lot. This is a great game, and actually a pretty good port from the arcade version. You just say top-down scrolling Western shoot 'em up. Even it says in English here, are you ready to climb in the saddle and accept the challenge? The challenge capitalized. Same thing here, we got kind of the fold-out one. And again, I think that happened a lot of the time when they didn't want to pay for the full manual, or sometimes they just ship with these to save money. Because if you lose this one, make a copy of this or whatever, you can print a new one without having to worry about that. But the full manual, of course, is the same thing you would get in when you bought the game in the cardboard box. Donkey Kong Classics, which is, I think, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. in one cartridge. So this was I remember this being a lot of fun because it just gave a lot of playtime for one cartridge. Colors held up remarkably well considering they've been in this fully UV protected case and also probably in a box in the basement most of its life. Honestly, a lot of fun. Can't get any more classic than Metroid, the original Metroid, European version, obviously again. And of course, you get the logo for the rental company, huge and blazing on the front here. That's not apparent on most of them, but here they really put it on the front cover. And of course, Metroid is one of the early NES games, right? So 1987. I shouldn't say super early, but in this case here, it uses that kind of same simplistic design. And I think it even says, I'm trying to see here, it does, I think it refers to in the manual to Samus Aran as a he, pretty sure. Metroid for the Nintendo Entertainment System. How delightful. And here, of course, is a photocopied one again. That's not nearly as high quality. You can see when they photocopy it, it just gets, you're supposed to see what's on this screenshot here. It's just a blob of black. You can't really see anything right. So, ooh, there's a nice full page thing here. There we go. Yeah. Here's 20XT5 in the Cosmos history. So I'll just see if there's anything here about that. Yeah, here we go. Samus Aran is handpicked for this mission. He is a so-called cyborg. I know that they changed the story quite a bit on Metroid later on and kind of retrofitted a little bit to be a little more interesting, I suppose. We have Russian Attack. Not a very deep game. You rush and you attack in that order, respectively. You're basically just running from left to right, knifing everyone. Not a very fun game. It's just funny when you remember renting these games when you were a kid. You rented a game, that's what you had for maybe several days, so you had to play it. It wasn't like you could just oh well, I'll just put it back. You rented a game and you were stuck with that for a while. Get that same paper copy here. This one is very simplistic. Not much to it here. Enemies hand-drawn, which is I thought was pretty cool. It's not captured in the game. These are clearly hand-drawn pictures here, trying to mimic what it looks like in the game. So, kudos to them for doing that at least. We have an extremely annoying game. Also, I will say they make a very satisfying chunk. So this is a big piece of plastic, right? Total Recall. Frustrating as hell of a game. Never got very far in this one. It's super frustrating, very hard to play. But, they have at least pictures from the movie. That looks awesome. This doesn't look awesome. That looks awesome. Not awesome. Well, just in the long range of, licensed games for movies. I see this little doot here, whatever you want to call it, is missing here, too. That was just so common. I remember, rental, and then the kids that were playing the game would just break this off or whatever. So the cartridge kind of flops around in here, but maybe I'll try and fix them one day. Who knows? Metal Gear. Before Metal Gear Solid, the weapon that cannot end up in the wrong hands. So I like the fact that they model the character model here, or the actor is from Michael Biehn. I think they explicitly said that's the style they were going for, like the Terminator Michael Biehn style. I remember Hideo Kojima, I'm probably saying the name incorrectly, was not a fond of this version for the NES. It was too cut down versus the original MSX version, which was the original Metal Gear. Well, look at that. This happened a lot of the time, too. When you got the manual back, someone had written codes in it. That was pretty common, too. I remember that. And this is not holding up very well. Solid Snake. Snake! There he is. This is actually in English here. Interesting. A little bit about yourself. How to control your destiny. Okay, so it had Swedish in the beginning, but then English. So that's a neat idea. A lot of the time they had all the Scandinavian languages mixed in. So that's usually what the manuals contained. Trojan. I remember thinking this game looked really cool. I was terrible at it. And that's a common theme with this NES games. I enjoyed everything about the game except, you know, playing it. Just really, really bad at NES games, but it's fun anyway. It's just a side-scrolling, like, beat 'em up, except you have a sword. Same thing here. The manual is just kind of this fold-out guy here. There we go. Trojan. Not so much here. But again, that hand-drawn style, which I think is really endearing now looking at versus just screenshots. But it wasn't very cheap or effective to get real screenshots going, right, for these things. So that's what they did. Section Z, another side-scrolling shooter. This music is amazing. The intro music, or the first stage music, is really cool. Look it up. But the year is 2000. Well, that was a cool 2000. But it's funny, this game came out in 1988. That was 12 years in the future. Really think we were flying around in spacesuits, I guess, in 12 years. It's pretty optimistic. But I remember this future isn't very nice either. Same thing there, you got the fold map or fold instruction booklet. Game is still in pretty good condition. And you can also see they have a unique identifier in every single cassette here with the style. I'm guessing one for each type of game, not like there's a unique for this particular cassette or cartridge. There is one for each game. So, just so you know, identify them. And this is one of the later ones. This is Gremlins 2, the new batch. The video game. Gizmo, Mr. Wing, Gremlins, the adventure continues. Yeah, I remember being very impressed by the graphics in this one. It looks really, really good for NES game. I think this is definitely one of the later ones. Missing the manual. This one I got a little further in, I remember. It wasn't as punishing. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't as punishing. You got upgrades and everything. You can go to a weapon shop. I thought that was a really, really cool idea. It was a very well-made game, kind of the whole complete package, but it was very late in the NES life cycle, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to see, there's no date on here at all. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to look here and see when this was released, but you can look it up, or I can put it in the description if I'm so inclined, I suppose. But it's just a fun little look at the NES rental cartridges from Scandinavia, or Sweden in specific. In particular, I'm not sure if these were available in other Scandinavian countries or not. So they're kind of like a unique oddity in the sense that, I don't know, they definitely weren't in the States. Probably just the shelf space required and the confusion that with a VHS. I mean, I think about like a Blockbuster or something like that, right? Would have had these sitting next to VHS tapes. It would have been very confusing to know which was which. So, but I do remember them, again, commanding a very good shelf presence in Sweden. Like, it stood out, although there was obviously confusion, like my friend who thought he was renting Tetris the movie. I don't know how that would work. That would be kind of a boring movie. Anyway, it was a fun little look at the NES clamshell rental cases from Sweden. So I hope you enjoyed this quick look. So we'll be back next time for another extra bit. So until then, thanks for watching. See ya.